To start in like 5 years. DJ Moore worked with Joe Brady, the head coach, the new head coach of the Bills in Carolina, and he had his best year. So DJ Moore is absolutely a number one. The Bills drafted Luther Burden and Roma Dunze, and they've got Colston Loveland and two back. So Chicago doesn't need. They got to start getting ready. They may have to make another move here. Max Crosby maybe need some cap space. But now Buffalo. Buffalo's got their quarterback, their running back, their left tackle, slot receiver, excellent tight ends. Now they've got their number one. So if Keon Coleman, who knows? Maybe he works, maybe he doesn't. Takes wide receivers a while to work themselves into, high-end luxury play. If he works, great. If he doesn't, fine. But look at Buffalo's offense. And they're going to give up a mid-round pick, probably give up like a 4. But this is a move I like. Then it also creates clarity. Buffalo can now use all their picks on the defensive side because they've got slot, perimeter, young receiver, quarterback that doesn't get hurt much, left tackle, running back, tight ends. They're set. Nice move. And the Bears, a little cap relief here, maybe big game hunting. And I want to talk about that because the Rams.
The focus here is unequivocally on the Buffalo Bills. This discussion is not about the Los Angeles Rams, nor is it about the Chicago Bears. The singular topic is the Bills and their recent acquisition. Upon seeing this trade notification, my reaction was immediate and visceral. I have been under the weather recently, yet this news instantly revitalized my energy. I found myself preparing to record content with genuine enthusiasm, uncertain what stories would dominate the daily discourse, and then this development broke. My mind immediately conjured an image from Arrested Development, the iconic Carl Weathers scene. Baby, we got a stew going. That pop culture reference perfectly encapsulates my sentiment regarding this transaction. Previously, when conversations circulated about players like Mike Evans or Chris Godwin as potential targets, I found myself genuinely conflicted. Mike Evans would undoubtedly provide value, yet his injury history gave me pause. Chris Godwin represents an exciting talent, but acquiring him alone felt insufficient. In fact, I commented that securing both players simultaneously would generate far greater enthusiasm than landing either individually. A singular addition from that tier left me feeling uneasy, lacking genuine comfort with the outcome. This trade, however, shifts my perspective entirely. I am infinitely more comfortable with this specific move. I will acknowledge my tendency toward greed when evaluating off-season acquisitions. This is a confession of sorts. The trade for DJ Moore represents a significant addition, yet my mind immediately wanders to other available wide receivers in free agency. Why stop here? Why not pursue additional talent aggressively? The stew metaphor continues to resonate. There remains substantial meat on that bone. Toss it in a pot, add broth, include a potato, and suddenly you have something even more substantial cooking. That is precisely where my thinking lands. Let us add another layer. Let us continue building. The irony of Colin's commentary was not lost on me. In his introduction, surrounded by dramatic music, he noted that Brandon Beane has received considerable criticism, but expressed approval for this particular move. Colin, you were among the primary critics. You consistently called him out. You built narratives around Beane resting on laurels for drafting Josh Allen nearly a decade ago. You urged moving beyond that accomplishment. You highlighted his contentious interactions with media. You cannot simultaneously participate in casting shade and then position yourself as above the fray while endorsing a single transaction. The inconsistency is glaring. Come on now. Setting that aside, my evaluation of this move is genuinely positive. I feel genuinely optimistic about what this means for the Bills organization. This represents both an excellent decision and a necessary one. However, I maintain that additional moves should follow. Consider what we hear regarding the Rams' intentions. Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay together form one of the most prolific passing combinations in football. They already possess Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, complemented by quality tight ends. Yet discussions indicate they seek another stud receiver in the draft. This raises a broader philosophical question. I recently produced content examining the Kansas City Chiefs through this same lens because the NFL pendulum continues its perpetual oscillation between offensive and defensive emphasis, between passing dominance and rushing priority. I wonder whether we are witnessing that pendulum swing once again. Without rehashing extensive previous arguments, I question whether the league finds itself returning to an offensive-centric philosophy. Recent seasons elevated defense as the primary championship driver. Conservative offensive approaches yielded significant results, yet the cycle inevitably turns, and perhaps we are approaching a period where offensive explosiveness reclaims primacy. I lack certainty regarding the foundational philosophy that will define the upcoming NFL season. The current landscape presents an extraordinary blend of offensive and defensive coaching talent, diverse philosophical approaches, run-first systems coexisting with pass-heavy schemes. Honest assessment requires acknowledging genuine uncertainty. This ambiguity intensifies when considering Josh Allen's unique skill set and Joe Brady's offensive vision. We tend to categorize coordinators into binary classifications: pass first or run first. Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan represent one archetype. Andy Reid represents another. Sean McVay almost defies categorization, with analysts debating whether he favors passing or running, creating something of a hybrid classification. With Brady and Allen, the equation becomes even more complex. When Brady assumed offensive coordinator responsibilities, the observable tendency leaned toward run-first approaches. Yet he also demonstrates willingness to abandon that approach when circumstances dictate. Josh Allen's exceptional capabilities further complicate any rigid philosophical framework. The fundamental question becomes identifying the optimal balance, the golden ratio, if you will, for maximizing this particular quarterback within Brady's system. This challenge extends beyond Buffalo. Organizations featuring transcendent quarterback talent face similar questions. When your quarterback represents a genuine superpower, a literal superhero under center, how does that influence philosophical foundations? Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid navigated this beautifully, particularly during their championship windows. They possessed abundant weapons, and Mahomes' exceptional abilities aligned perfectly with Reid's offensive vision. The result was sustained excellence. The broader NFL evolution fascinates me, but Buffalo's specific trajectory commands particular attention. What constitutes the Bills' identity beyond Josh Allen? This question has persistently challenged the organization, both offensively and defensively. What defines them when their superstar quarterback is removed from the equation? This is where sustainable success becomes elusive. Contrast this with championship organizations. The Kansas City Chiefs' identity extends beyond Mahomes. The Rams' championship season identity was not solely Matthew Stafford, despite his statistical output. Even now, with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams commanding attention, complemented by Kyren Williams and a dominant rushing attack, Stafford's passing volume tells an incomplete story. The Philadelphia Eagles provide another instructive example. Jalen Hurts is exceptional, but the team's identity transcends their quarterback. These organizations consistently demonstrate that teams avoiding quarterback-centric identity construction achieve more consistent success. They build deeper resiliency. They withstand adversity more effectively. The terminology escapes me momentarily, but the principle remains clear. Distributing identity across the roster creates sustainable competitive advantage. I am still processing this trade's full implications. The move excites me primarily because I anticipate diverse perspectives emerging across the football community. The comment section promises fascinating discourse. I am particularly curious how various analysts might frame this negatively. Who will characterize this as a misstep? Which voices will emerge criticizing the acquisition? The contrast with previous narratives will prove instructive. DJ Moore joining the Bears generated universal acclaim. The combination with Caleb Williams was framed as an unstoppable offensive foundation. Yet now, Josh Allen adding a premier weapon somehow invites skepticism from certain quarters. I am genuinely eager to observe who rises to question this move. If you identify analysts positioning this negatively, please direct my attention to their content. I suspect certain patterns may emerge as the day progresses. This situation invites examination of how narratives form around different organizations and quarterbacks. The same logic that celebrated Chicago's addition now appears to generate different reactions when applied to Buffalo. I am interested in understanding why that disparity exists and who perpetuates it. Share your perspectives in the comments. I read every response regardless of whether alignment exists with my analysis. Agreement or disagreement matters less than fostering substantive discussion and perhaps spirited debate, though ultimately the objective remains enjoying the conversation. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We are cultivating an exceptional community, and I would genuinely welcome your participation. My aspiration involves creating something we all feel authentically connected to, something generating genuine excitement about membership. I believe we progress meaningfully toward that objective. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely supports visibility and algorithmic reach. Thank you sincerely. I will see you in the next video.